Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Okay. Mr. Sawe will be with you right now for your lessons. Okay? Rehan Yusuf.
Okay.
Ryan. Yeah? How is FIFA 20? Fine. But don't talk about that kind of stuff here. No. This is class. You know that they actually sent
All right. Oh. Only lórí bed. Should I start? Okay. All right. Good morning, all. I can see Rukewe. I can see Rehan. Who is this eating? Is this Lasisi? Uh-huh. I can see one other person on the bed. Anyway, I hope you all have been enjoying your stay at home. All right. The topic before us today is cultural practices. And it's like the girls have been taught, but I haven't taught the boys. So, as a girl student, if you have been taught, I just need your cooperation this morning. Don't interrupt and don't disturb our class. Good morning, Tonti. How are you? Farida Sharif, good morning. Halima, good morning. Ridwan Arasi, good morning to you all. Now, like I said the topic is cultural practices. But before today's topic, can I get a reminder of the last topic we treated in school? You can type right here for me. Very good. Yes. Good. Very good, Alima. The last topic was crop propagation. Okay, Alkali Fatima, thank you. Crop propagation. Rehan, I can also see yours. Crop propagation. Odushote, Abdukudus, crop propagation. All right, thank you very much. It means that you people have been reading all this while. You didn't just close your notebooks and your textbooks and forget about school. That's really, really impressive. Under that crop propagation, I told you that we have two types of crop propagation. They are the vegetative propagation and the sexual propagation. The sexual propagation involves the use of seeds to grow new plants, while the asexual or the vegetative propagation involves the use of other parts of the plant to cultivate new ones. Now, for crops that we can propagate new ones through seed or through the use of sexual propagation, you have the grains like the beans, the maize, the millet, the sorghum, the oats, the barley. Any crops that have seed, you can propagate new ones through the seed. Then examples of crops that can be propagated through asexual, you have the cassava, you have sugarcane, you have cassava, sugarcane, you have some tree crops like oranges, like a guava, mango, grape. You can cultivate them through other parts of the plant. Also, banana and plantain, pineapple can be cultivated through other portion of the plant. For cassava, you make use of the stem cuttings. For pineapple, you make use of the sucker. For banana and plantain, you make use of the sucker as well to grow new ones. Then for sugarcane, you make use of the stem cuttings to grow new ones. And I can remember very well that I gave this to you as an assignment and I've done the correction, writing out the names of parts of plants that are being used to cultivate new crops asexually. And don't forget, asexual propagation means the same thing as vegetative propagation. Good. Now let's go to today's topic, cultural practices. Cultural practices. Cultural practices can be defined as all the activities or the series of activities you carry out on your farm, starting from clearing of your farmland to harvesting of the crops. As a farmer that is into crop production, you can't plant in space. You need a farmland to grow your crops. And after growing your crops, you don't just go home and fold your hands. There are a series of activities that you must carry out before your crops can be harvested. Then, at the end of this lesson, I have some objectives which I want you to achieve. So you can just jot them down so as to help yourself if you really comprehend or you understand this topic. The first one is you should be able to define cultural practices. Explain what the term cultural practices mean, or you give the definition. Then the second objective is you should be able to list 3 stages of cultural practices. What are the stages involved, starting from planting, getting a farmland, to when you harvest your crops. The third objective is 2 examples of pre-planting operations. You should know them. Then the last one, definition of the term tillage. I want you to flow along with me, concentrate, and you enjoy the lesson. So, I said cultural practices can be defined as a series of activities you carry out on your farm, starting from when you select a farmland to when you harvest your crops. There are 3 stages of cultural practices. The first one is called the pre-planting operations. The second one is the planting operation in itself, while the third one is the post-planting operations. When we talk about pre-planting, pre means before something. So pre-planting operations, they are the activities you carry out before you plant your seed or before you plant new crops. Pre, before. So before planting operation. Let me explain it that way to you. Then the planting operation comes after you've carried out series of pre-planting operations. Then the last set is the post-planting. Post means after. So post-planting operations are things or activities you carry out on your farm after you have grown or you've planted your seed in your farm. Now, what are the examples of pre-planting operations. The first thing is, after you've made up your mind to go into crop production, you look for a farmland, because you can't plant, like I said, in the space. You need a good soil. You select a good site for your crop production. You get the site, a good location, probably in rural areas, because that's where you can get large hectares of land for crop production. Then once you've done that, you survey the land. Not all land is actually good for crop production, because you have some land that is waterlogged, you have some swampy area, and you have some land that does not really retain water. So you survey the land, and after surveying your land, you also need to know the type of crops to grow on each soil. We have different types of soil. We have the loamy soil, we have the clay soil, we have the sandy soil. We have what we call the clay loamy, we have what we call the sandy clay. All this must be taken into consideration before you determine the type of crops to grow on each soil. Not all crops will grow very well on sandy soil, and not all crops will grow very well on loamy soil. That's why you need to survey your farmland. Hello. Hi, can you all hear me well now? All right. I said pre-planting operations, they are the activities that are carried out before seeds are being sown or planted on the farm. And I gave you the first two examples, site selection and survey of the soil. What is site selection? You look for a good land where you can plant your soil. Where you can plant your crops. After you select your site, then you survey the soil, because not all crops will grow very well on sandy soil. Not all crops will grow very well on loamy soil. So you have to evaluate the soil to know the type of crops to be planted. We have some people that are trained for soil evaluation. So you get the service in knowing the type of soil you have and what crops to grow on the soil. After this, once you've determined or you've made up your, once you are determined or you've made up your mind on the type of plants or crops to grow on your soil, you go into bush clearing. You cut the land, you get rid of all the vegetations there before you start planting. Then the type of bush clearing you go into will depend on the type of tools you have. It will also depend on the size of your farm land. If you're a farmer going into small scale production, or maybe you just have a small piece of land, I think you need hoe and cutlasses to clear your land. But if you are going into commercial agriculture, commercial crop production, that means hoe and cutlasses will not do. It means you need tractor and bulldozer to help to clear your land. Like I said, the type of vegetation in the area and the type of tools available to you as a farmer will determine the method that will be used in clearing of the farm land. There are two methods of bush clearing. The first one is slashing the bush with a cutlass and setting the debris on fire. You clear with cutlass and you burn. Then the second one is using farm machines such as bulldozers, tree pushers to clear your vegetation if it's a large hectares of land.
This one. Prevoc Jesus2.
GSS2.
Okay.
Someone said,
Okay. All right. I'm going to remove you. Sorry. Boys and girls, please, if you continue to write irrelevant things to chat, I'm going to remove you. Okay, please just concentrate to your class.
someone said her screen is blank.
Okay, I think no, I can see it.
Okay. All right. So we have the slashing method and we have the use of farm machines such as bulldozers and tree pushers to clear the vegetation. After you've cleared your vegetation, you do what is called stumping. What is stumping? This is the removal of stumps of trees from their base deep in the soil. Because if you don't remove them, they would disturb the movements of farm machines on your farm. So you have to carry out stumping to uproot stumps of trees right from their base in the soil. We also have what is called farm layout. You've cleared your farm, you've done what is called stumping, you have to arrange your farmland. What are the activities you want to carry out on the farmland? You divide your farmland into different sections. On my farmland, I want to grow yam, I want to grow maize, I want to grow cassava. You don't just model up everything in a place. You separate or you demarcate your farmland. Plot A is for maize production, plot B for cassava production, plot C for rice production. That's the meaning of farm layout. And if your workers are going to stay on the farm, you have to make a layout of their own residential building, that is the farmer's house. Farmer's house is the home of the farmer and his workers on the farm, including their production center. So all this should be laid out before you go into planting at all. We have some tools that are being used for farm layout. Examples are measuring tape, ranging poles, you have your gunter chain as well. We have beacons, we have pillars. These are all examples of tools that are being used in farm layout. Once you've laid out your farmland, we have what is called tillage operation. The word tillage or the term tillage can be defined as the mechanical manipulation of the soil. What does this mean, or what's the meaning? That is, you dig your soil, you break it and you turn your soil. You don't just start planting. Sometimes the soil will be hard. You need to dig, you break, and you turn the soil. You loosen the soil for it to be easier for your seed to germinate and for the roots of your crops or plants to be well established in the soil. Tillage, mechanical manipulation of the soil, or the breaking down, the digging, the breaking and turning of your soil. Tillage can be carried out in two forms, either manually or mechanically. This will also depend on the size of your farmland. Then we have two types of tillage. The first one is called the primary tillage, and the second one is called the secondary tillage. What is primary tillage? It is the digging of the soil. You dig your soil up. That's primary tillage. And if you don't call it primary tillage, you can also call it plowing. The tools that are used are plows and hoes. On a small scale, you make use of your hoes. Then on a larger scale, on commercial base, you make use of plow to till your farmland. Then secondary tillage, After you've dug the soil, you have to break the soil down into smaller particles, because when you dig, they form clods, that is large volume of soil being packed together. You can still not plant or sow your seed in that situation. So you need to go into the secondary tillage, which is the breaking down of the soil clods into smaller particles that will be easier, that will make planting easier for you. So secondary tillage is the breaking and turning of soil clods into smaller particles. And the examples of secondary tillage operations are harrowing and ridging. Harrows and ridgers are the farm machines that are used for secondary tillage operation. I have one or two pictures here. This is a picture of a bulldozer for clearing of farmland. You have the tree pusher as well, uprooting the trees to make the land, to clear the land of the vegetation that is on it. Plow. This is the picture of a plow. And like I said earlier on, plow is an example of a primary tillage implement. It is used in digging of the soil in preparation for planting. After the use of plow, you have what is called the harrow. Harrow is an example of secondary tillage implement, which is used for harrowing of the soil. And harrowing means breaking of your soil into smaller particles for planting of your seeds to be easy. Then we also have ridges. Ridges are being used to make ridges on the farm. From this slide, you can see two men walking in between ridges. Ridger has been used to make these ridges. Okay, the man is holding a small scale, an implement called small ridger because of the size of the farmland. There's another picture here, harrow. You can see the size of this harrowing harrow. It is very, very big. So you can use this on a large scale, because if you use the small size, it will take a longer period of time before you cover the whole farmland. Why do you have to till your farmland as a farmer? The first advantage rather is that it helps to loosen the soil for easy penetration of plant roots. If don't loosen the soil, you just sow your seed, the root will not be well established. And if there's any wind or there's flood, the plant will fall off and die. But when your roots are the roots of your plant are well grounded in the soil as a result of tillage operation that you've carried on earlier, it will be very easy for them to remain, to be well established in the soil. Then when you till your land, when you dig and you break and you turn your soil, you destroy the eggs of a pest, insect pests that are there. You destroy adult insect pests that will compete with your crops or that will feed on your crops. So that is why you carry out tillage. Another important or advantage of tillage operation is that it improves soil aeration. What is this? That is the movement of soil air within the soil. Air is very, very important for your seed to germinate. So you carry out tillage operation rather, to circulate the soil air. Then we also have the fourth advantage, that it encourages high rates of water movement. A particular portion of your farmland will not be waterlogged if you carry out tillage operation. The water will flow very well. No part of your farmland will be short of water, and no part will be waterlogged. Disadvantages of excessive tillage. I use the word excessive. Can tillage be excessive? Yes. When you carry out tillage operation too much on your farm, it is very, very dangerous. One, it can lead to the destruction of soil structure because of the type of machines you are using. They are heavy machines, so they tend to compact the soil, and this will damage your soil structure. It makes the soil to become hardened. So the essence of tillage is thereby defeated. So you don't carry out tillage operation in excess on your farm land. Then the second disadvantage is that it encourages soil erosion. And we all know that soil erosion can be defined as the washing away of the topsoil either by water or by wind. When you carry out tillage operation in excess, it encourages soil erosion. And no farmer will be happy seeing the farmland being eroded either by water or by wind. Okay. Sorry, someone said you are breaking. It is the network here. Okay. Okay. Sorry, it's the network. Jill Lawal, which slide are you referring to? Can you tell me the number? Just type and let me go back to it. It's on the previous slide. Is it?
Just you can talk and they cannot hear you.
Okay. Hello, can you all hear me now? Shogbam Abdullahi, I'm sure you can hear me now. All right. So this is the slide on pre-planting operations. That is, activities that are carried out before you sow the seeds. So let me just go over all the slides once again. I said the first pre-planting operation is site selection. You select a good site for your crop production. After that, you survey the land because not all soil is good for crop production. And then some crops, they do well in one particular soil. For example, cassava and groundnut, they grow very well in sandy soil. So it will not be too good for you as a farmer to grow your cassava and groundnut on clay or loamy soil. So that's why you have to survey and know the type of soil you have on your land so as to help you in your decision on what type of crops to plant on that particular soil. Once you do that, you go to the next operation, which is bush clearing. Clearing means cutting, getting rid of whatsoever you have on the farmland, the vegetations on your farmland, because you can't plant seed in the midst of trees or vegetation. So you bare your land of all the grasses and trees that are there. Then, like I said earlier on, that the type of vegetation in your area and the type of tools you have will determine the method you are going to use for clearing. There are two methods of bush clearing. The first one is slashing of the bush with a cutlass and maybe with the use of hoe. You can only do this, you can slash where you have a short plant or you have shrubs or few grasses growing. But when you are going to a thick forest, you need farm machines such as the bulldozers and tree pushers to clear the vegetations for you. So a piece of land that has been cultivated before can be slashed with a cutlass in preparation for planting. But a farmland that has never been used for farming before will definitely have lots of trees. So you need to make use of bulldozers or tree pushers to clear the vegetations. After clearing of your farmland, you do what is called stumping. Stumping is the removal of stumps of trees from the soil. If you don't remove stumps, it will be very, very difficult for you to bring in farm machines into your farmland. They will disturb the movement of farm machines on your farmland. After this, you carry out farm layout. You divide your farmland into different sections, the one for crop production, the one for the farmer house or the farmhouse, the one for slaughtering, maybe your abattoir. You separate everything, you divide your farmland. If you are going to crop production, you don't just plant all the crops on the same piece of land. You should have the plot for cassava, plot for maize, plot for yam, depending on your own choice. Then the farmer house as well, if you are staying on the farm and your workers are also staying on the farm, you make out the layout. Your farmhouse should be far away from your animals' buildings because of the odor that emanates from farm animals building. Then you should have your own store. You should have the farm office where people come to make inquiry or to buy. All these are important in making or in planning your farm layout. And I told you that we have instruments or we have tools that are being used in farm layout. Examples are the measuring tape, the ranging post, the Gunter's chains, the beacon, the pillar, and so on and so forth. After you've done the farm layout, you go into the major part of this pre-planting operation, which is tillage operation. Tillage means the digging, the breaking and turning of the soil. In short form, you define tillage as the mechanical manipulation of the soil. You can do this manually with the use of hoe and ridgers, or you do it mechanically. We have two types of tillage operations, the primary tillage and the secondary tillage. The primary tillage is the digging of your soil, and we call that plowing. The first thing before you sow your seeds, you plow the soil. And when you plow, it means that you are digging your soil. You want to loosen the soil because most of the time the soil is hardened. So you don't just plant seed like that. You break the soil, you dig the soil, you loosen it for it to be easier for seeds to germinate and for roots of your plant to be well established. So for primary tillage, we call it plowing. And the tools that are being used are plows and hoes. If you have a small piece of land, you only need hoes to do your primary tillage. But if you are going into commercial agriculture, you need plows, farm machine to carry out the primary tillage for you. Then the secondary tillage, once you dig your soil, most times the soil come together in form of clods. You have to loosen them, break the clods into smaller particles. That is what we refer to as the secondary tillage. And we have two examples of secondary tillage. They are harrowing and ridging. The secondary The implement for secondary tillage are the harrows and the ridgers. The picture here is that of a plow for primary tillage. You can see some parts of the soil had been dug, while this other part remain as hard as it is. This is a plow used for primary tillage, and this is harrow for secondary tillage. It helps you to break down clods into smaller particles. This is another picture of harrow. This is a harrow driven by an animal. Harrow driven by animal, and the first one I showed you is driven by a tractor. It is coupled to a tractor. While the tractor moves in front, the harrow will do the work behind. Then we also have another picture of harrow here. This is bigger than the first one, so it can cultivate a large piece of land within a short period of time. We also have the ridgers, because ridgers and harrow are examples of secondary tillage implements. This is a small ridger that is being used on this land. You can also make use of hoe to make ridges or mounds on your farm if the size of your farm is very small. Advantages of tillage. Why do we have to till our farmland? The first one is that it helps to loosen the soil for easy penetration of plant roots. If you plant on hard soil, it means that the roots of the plant will be shallow. So little storm will pull them down. But once you till your land, the roots of your plant will be well established, so they can withstand storm or adverse weather condition. Then when you till your land, it destroys the eggs of insect pests or even the adult insects that will destroy your crops. It also improves soil aeration. It makes soil air to circulate within the soil. If you plant seed and there is no soil air, the seed will die, it won't germinate. So it's not about good seed only. There are some other conditions that are necessary for the germination of our seed. Then the last point is that it encourages high rates of water movement. Water will move very well within the soil. No particular portion of the soil will be short of water, while some will have it in excess. No. Once you till your land, water will flow and circulate very well in the soil. Disadvantages of excessive tillage. Some people do most of their things and they overdo, like some of you will say, in excess. It is possible for farmers to carry out excessive tillage operation, and this is very, very risky, or it has disadvantages. It leads to the destruction of soil structure. It makes the soil to become hardened. And if you remember, that is the major reason of tillage. You want to break or want to loosen our soil. But by the time you now carry it out in excess, it returns your soil to the original state it was. It hardens the soil, and this destroys soil structure. Then the last point is that it encourages soil erosion. Soil erosion is the washing away of the topsoil, either by wind or by water. So when you carry out tillage in excess, it exposes your soil to erosion, either when there is flood or when there is storm. So, and the topsoil is the major part of the soil that is useful to the farmer. That's where most biological activities take place. That is the region where you sow seed and your seeds germinate. For the homework here, you have to list or write out 5 post-planting operations for me. At the beginning of this lesson, I told you that post-planting operations are the activities you carry out after you might have sown or planted your seed. So you write out 5 post-planting operations against next class. So if you have any question, please type here. Orange. Action. Hey, yeah, wow, joke off. This person needs to be blocked.
Okay. Iman.
No, okay. This one, yes. And this RG.
Okay, Iman and RG. Okay, sorry, Iman and RG. I'm going to remove you because you are disturbing others and you are typing irrelevant things to the chat. And Ridwan, you too.
No.
Not Ridwan. RG. Okay. And Iman.
No, I didn't really see.
No, he was talking. Okay, you can continue.
Okay. Mm. Hello. Yes. Mm. Oh. Mm. Now, come back, please, why is there any news on when we are resuming? Jared. Sister, let's go on there. Loaded. Loaded. I share a mark menu. Ọkùnrin lòun. Bọ̀ lady yìí ó yìn bá fún mi.